Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Good morning. Glad to see everybody here this morning. Beautiful spring day. Going to be a very nice summer afternoon. I was at the Botanic Gardens last week taking pictures, and of course it was 40 degrees. And somebody came by and said, geez, I want to get back home where it's summer. And I said, well, we had that last week. But in case you don't know, if you've been out to the Botanic Gardens, the conservatory is now closed. Because of the expansion they're doing, the conservatory is being redesigned, and they're putting in a permanent butterfly exhibit and a rainforest exhibit that'll be year-round, and that will be opening next year, and all new gardens out behind the conservatory. So it's going to be quite something. It'll be really something to see. So in the meantime, does anybody have any business items?
I have a note here. Anybody interested in working with the Oak Festival in October? I know. I wants to contact Muska@gmail.com. I will fill out our information in that group. The various shifts that we will volunteer to.
Also, we have a visitor today. Joe Rainey is here visiting us. Joe? Okay. Yeah. Any other items? I know that Nancy's going to talk to us in a few minutes about what the program is going to be next month, and that's going to be at the Meadowdale Library in Chesterfield.
I just wanted to mention we lost an member. You may have gotten the email, but it was Gina Van. She's been with us for a long time, and she hasn't been coming to meetings because she wasn't feeling well. Well, she passed away a couple of weeks ago. So keep her in your thoughts. She was a really great woman.
Hey, anybody else? Anybody have any new business? Anything they want to bring up to the group? We do have programs now set for May and June. In June, Paul is going to give us a talk about infrared camera conversions, how to go about it, and what you get out of it. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. So anything from June on, we're still looking for people to talk about something that they would like to share with us. So any ideas you have, please let us know, or if there's anything you would like somebody else to present, anything you want to hear about that one of us might know, let us know, and we would be glad to put this program together. Okay. So before I introduce our speaker, I would like Nancy to give us a talk about what's going to happen next month.
Interactive. To be clear, it's not a workshop, but neither one of us can tabletop photography. But we're going to set up 5 or 6 stations, and Nina and I will bring in all kinds of props, and backgrounds and things. Bring your cameras, and we'll play around with the stuff. And and we're going to campus graciously agreed to create a slideshow, since we will not be having photo share. So if you have any tabletop still lifetime photography in your collection, even when do you need it by, Ken?
Probably a week before the meeting, maybe. Yeah.
Send it to Ken, and we'll have a slideshow, a loop going throughout the whole time for inspiration, and we'll also have some tips and things. This is keep it really, really simple. This is not, if you want to take tabletop workshop, talk to Tom, he does one in the fall with flowers. This is tabletop for dummies, what you can do around the house, the things you have, and you don't have to go out and buy equipment. come over to bring lighting, and we said, no, we want to keep this real simple, nothing, you know, it's a snowy afternoon and you want to do something in the house. So that's next week.
Okay. Now, our speaker today is Bruce Murff, who's going to talk to us about some of the projects that he takes on and relates them to a movie theme. Okay?
Okay, let me hobble over there. Thank you. We have to hook up the computer here for a minute. But, contrary to popular belief, I'm still alive. Actually doing better. Yeah. All right. I'm just going to sit here, I think, and rather than try and stand. But this is me. I've been in photography for over 60 years. Started on my father's C3, August C3, and was living on an island in the Pacific. Then his father's in the Navy, and which was probably a good thing because there wasn't any training or anything like that. So it was all self-taught, trial and error, reading a book or two, and so forth. And so that kind of got me excited, and I pretty much carried a camera around the rest of my life. People would ask me, and I'd say, "Oh, if you have a camera, it's a really great way to meet girls." And that was a joke, okay? But it was, and I'm sure some of you know that. So why am I here? Well, I guess the bottom line is, yeah, what are you doing? I'll back up. Okay. Well, basically why I'm here is they couldn't find anybody else. You all got those messages, I'm sure, and
We love you, Bruce.
yeah, I know. It's hard sometimes, but
Yeah, you do make it hard.
yeah, I do. But it was we have a sort of a movie theme this year of your photography being some movie title or something like that. And I thought, oh, that's kind of good. I got something like that. And so I volunteered that, and nobody could say no. No. Before I show what I've got, I want to talk about projects. It's very important to me, and but I'll come back to it in the sense that I'm going to talk about why projects are important to me, and then we're going to do my movie It Girl project. Okay, guys, you're going to love it. So, why projects? I found that after I retired and was living in this big house and no kids, have a wife, family is far, far away or disinterested completely. And so I'd take my pictures and all that, and I'd come home and I'd turn around and look, and I had years and years and years of Kodachrome slides in carousels. And I didn't even have a projector at that time for carousels. So I thought, we don't go to people's houses anymore and look at their slides about their vacation or whatever they've been doing. It's all digital, it's all that sort of stuff. So I thought, okay, digital's great. I'll go through that. and I'll do it. Well, I stumbled into the idea of projects and making the project something that I wanted to do, try to be creative about it, set up a begin date and an end date and what you wanted the end thing to look like, and then put it into a tabletop book, which you can do easily now with Shutterfly and numerous other companies. So I started that thing, and what it did is it combated my boredom. It really did, because you have to prepare for these things and you have to figure out how you're going to do it, how you're going to make that shot, how you're going to do it, and then put it all together in a project. So, and that also gave me then the purpose of why I was a photographer and what I enjoyed about photography. And then there's that personal satisfaction that you completed it and you have something that you can pick up, look at, leave it on the coffee table. And who knows, somebody may say, hey, that's kind of neat, you know, and you get a little satisfaction out of that. What got me started was really, I was over in the Barnes and Noble looking for something to read, something to look at. Of course, I was over in the photography shop and I saw this book, Outhouses of Alaska. And I thought, oh, well, isn't that funny? You know, and well, it wasn't funny. It was, I bought the book, I think I've got it here. And it was a guy who traveled from the high mountains to the sea, photographing outhouses as a theme, but surroundings also, and a lot of, you know, conversation added. If you learn how to use an outhouse when it's 40 below, for instance. And so I thought that was all kind of interesting. And I thought, this is a project. So that got me started. Combated my boredom, gave me purpose, and there was a certain amount of achievement and satisfaction. So I started projects. Now these are just some, I got books up here that you can look at of my project. And it would be something that I was working on at the time. Neural filters. When they came out with, I was in Photoshop beta, I think it was called at that time. And so I was getting things from the neural filters before everybody else, and exploring what they could do and how they could do and how they could affect pictures. Street glamour, that's an easy one. I've enjoyed that. You know, there's women that are just out on the street or in at fairs and booths and all that, and you know, just go up to them and ask them, hey, can I take your picture? And I'm amazed that I've probably been only thrown on the ground maybe once or twice, but I have a business card I give them, and that sort of just has my Facebook address and my email address, no telephone numbers, no nothing, a picture of me, just to assure them that I'm not the street pervert or something that's coming up to get their picture. So anyway, over 50 shades of red, that just blew my mind. Somebody made a funny joke about, you know, the book, and I thought, wow, that would be interesting, because I really enjoy photographing women over 50. They have a different personality about life, a different outlook. And so I thought, well, I'll make it over 50 shades of red. The idea being that the women were all over 50, and pictures were going to be in black and white with something highlighted in red. You know, and that may be a whip, it may be some lingerie or something like that. But anyway, I got that book up here. Steampunk Stylistas. Didn't know what a steampunk was until I stumbled into it at one of the fairs and all that, and it was kind of interesting. And so I kind of looked it up and figured out, okay, I know what this is about or what it is. And I thought, okay, I'll do a steampunk series of pictures as a project. So over the year, as I approached people that I knew or somebody I thought would do it, it became very popular, and it was very easy to put together 12 shots. That was my minimum. So you could put it in the calendar, you could put it in a book. And I had way more than that. And I had fun setting up the props, like the guns, you'll see. They're Murff pistols, they're red and green and shoot something crazy. Well, I'd buy a couple of those, paint them black, overspray them and lightly with a silver so they looked more like they were metal in the gun, put them in there. And it worked. That book's up here too. COVID glamour, we were going through that period of time. It was a case of photographing women with their mask on. I thought I liked her eyes, okay? And so that was the emphasis and not the mask. And of course, if you people who know me, all the women that I photographed, a photo shoot or something, they have to sign the release and all that. In the process, I make sure their birth date is on there. Put the birth date on there, and then on their birth date on Facebook, I put a picture in. That's Linda. We probably all know Linda, and she had a birthday. So a project, something to be working on or working to. Which brings me to the connection to movies. This is a movie It Girls project. 2020 is when I did this. And of course, first question comes up is kind of, what's an It Girl? Well, if you're old enough, you probably know what an It Girl is. If you're younger, that may be a little elusive to you. But so I researched it. And sure, Rudyard Kipling's got that quote in one of his books. It says that it's just it. Okay. And the first It Girl was Clara Bow. And she was in a movie called It. And so they called her the It Girl. But it's, whoever's the quote, today It Girl is an attractive young woman. Well, I don't like that young part. Because I think older women are more attractive and can be. But generally, celebrity, somebody who perceives to have both sex appeal and the personality that is especially engaging. We've all met women like that. All women are like that if we allow them. Okay? I won't go into all that business, but whoops, what happened? I don't know. You know this lady? Yes, no? Okay. Laura Davenport? If you know her, and I'm sure most of you have had experience with her, she's quite a woman. She is energetic. She is very organized. She's probably the backbone of RPMG these days and keeping it going and keeping it rolling and doing things. And she was always, to me, a very serious person. Let's put it that way. And I asked her I had her a meetup that was taking headshots out in the park somewhere. And that's where I met her. And in the process, I asked her if I could do a photo shoot with her. And she was kind of reluctant and all that. But to my surprise, she showed up at my garage studio, and we went through the process, and she turned out to be have a smile, have a look, have a twinkle in her eye that she just amazed me. So getting on with what I'm talking about here, I sat down with her and after one of our photo shoots, and I was showing her what I had, and and she was passing comment, and I was what I liked, what I didn't like, and I all of a sudden I stopped and I looked at her and I said, you remind me of somebody in the movies. And all of a sudden she kind of went into the pose. Okay. Audrey Hepburn, ring a bell with anybody? And I thought, that's it. So we started talking about Audrey Hepburn. And I said, what would you be, uh, can't think of the right word. Would you be interested in doing a photo shoot with me where I would shoot you as Audrey Hepburn and put you in the poster of an Audrey Hepburn movie? And the more we talked about it, more excited she got about it, or more interested she got about it. And that's how it started. So my first it girl is Laura Davenport in the movie poster. I put in kind of a Hollywood, handout picture, and then I found a quote to put in with the out of the movie, Breakfast at Tiffany. Well, I'll tell a little story here since she's not here. I was sitting with her and I had the poster and I said, okay, I've got the gloves, I've got the cigarette holder, I've got even the jewelry. But I don't have the dress. I'm gonna have to go find the dress. And she said, no, you don't. I've got one like that. Knowing Laura, I said, well, this has got a split up the side, up the thigh. And she said, don't worry, I'll cut it into my dress. And she did. That's her dress cut in with a slit. Now, I like that. Participation, part of it. So anyway, Laura and Ned. Next woman I was a woman from Texas that I met from Houston. And I approached her with the idea. By this time I had developed, I'd gone through and pulled out posters and put it into like a flat sheet in a folder so I could thumb through them and people could look at them and pick something out. I probably had about 25 or 30. And as we did that, she said, I want Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And that kind of surprised me because, the picture with the slip and all. And next time we met up was at a volleyball tournament out in Arizona. And I met her and said, okay, you ready to do this? And she said, yes, I am. And I had a hotel room. She showed up went into the bathroom, changed, came out in a slip and the whole business. And we shot the picture. And she was very comfortable doing it. And she had fun doing it. We shot a lot of other pictures too. But careful, Maggie, your claws are showing. Again, another friend of mine from Arizona. She's 6 foot. She's she rides a bike competitively. She swims competitively. You name it. Very athletic, and she has. She doesn't have her closet door is wide open. Does that mean anything to anybody? All women, all guys too, have a closet. And in that closet, they keep the things that they don't want the rest of the world to know. Okay? Laura, for instance, she has a closet, but she's not the, you don't see the smile and the twinkle in her eyes until she opens that closet door. This woman just leaves her closet door open. So just about anything you could think of. I thought about Outlaws. She thought about some X-rated movie that she'd do. And I said, no, hold off on that. And we did Outlaw. Of course, my wife had to be in the project, got to be in the project. I don't know how many of you guys photograph your wives, but I find that the hardest thing to do. One, they all have an idea of how they look or should look, and getting them to cooperate with myself to get what I want, to me, is very difficult. Well, with my wife, and I know many of you have met her, she's 6'1". The movie that came to my mind immediately was the 50-foot woman that, remember that movie? And so I got the poster out and I looked at it, and we tried that and it just didn't work. And I found this one, Madam. It was a Sophia Loren movie. And she was able to hit the pose, get the look, do all the business, and we were in there. And I love the quote, it's out of the movie. The woman's dress should be like a fence serving its purpose without obstructing the view. Great. I thought it was great. Rocky Horror Picture Show. How many people have seen Rocky Horror Picture Show? Okay. Did you see it recently or years ago, or it doesn't really make any difference, but it's only shown at midnight. And it's really a trashy kind of goofy movie. But I saw it the first time in San Francisco, and I'm standing in line to go into the theater because the theater doesn't even open till midnight to buy your ticket. So I'm in line with a bunch of other people, and a bus pulls up. And out of the bus pours these people that are in costume. I didn't understand that they were in same costumes that were in the movie. And they started dancing and doing that. And they go up and down the line saying, we want lips, we want lips, we want lips. And if you've seen the movie, you know the movie starts off with lips talking and so forth and so on. And it's an audience participation movie. Went in, sat down, and first thing somebody came up to me I never met before and says, "Are you a virgin?" And I thought, okay. And that what you're saying is this the first time you've seen the movie, okay? Or have you seen it before? Starts off with a rainy sequence where two people are out in the woods trying to find their way. And all of a sudden, I got rain falling on me because the participants in the theater had a squirt gun. And they'd squirt those all over the place, and you get rain coming down. The whole movie was like that with the participation of the audience. So it's a fantastic treat if you get to see it in the right place. But anyhow, this is Sarah. She's an artist here in town. I approached her, and without even hesitate, she said, "I want to do Rocky Horror Picture Show." And I thought, okay, wait a minute. It had a guy on the lips, and she says, "No, he's a transvestite. I'll just dress like him." Yeah, okay. So she did. She came over. We set up the picture and did that. I also let each woman pick their stage name. Okay, so she is Zara Spiker. So anyway, you can see the quote. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Striptease, the movie. It was kind of a movie, but the young lady in this is I've shot her probably 100 times, and I won't go into all the detail on that, but this is what she wanted to do. And so we set it up, took the picture. Her name's Jenna Guns. That's not her real name. That's who she wanted to be. And we can talk about anything you want, as long as you're naked. What a great quote. Anyway, Jen is one of my favorites. This is a lady that cleaned my house. I approached her, said, "Would you like?" She said, "Yeah, I want to do Beauty and the Boss." I never heard of the movie. I'd never even seen reference to it. And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because David Manners is related to her, or she's related to him." So she wanted to do that movie. Okay, we did it. There she is. And it was fun. I learned something. She learned something. Bride of Frankenstein. You see the woman there with the long gray hair. She's, I've known her for years. She's a world traveler in her business. She's retired now. And just an absolute fun person to be around. And when I approached her about it, she said, "How about the Bride of Frankenstein?" And I'm thinking, why would you want to do that? She says, "Well, the woman's got gray hair, that comes out." So we did it. Every one of these, we actually did 2 movies and then picked the best one of the bunch. This is my favorite flight attendant. She lives down in Williamsburg. I know her husband from Vietnam, believe it or not. And um, she wanted to do the movie Laura, which I guess we probably all know, heard, hope we've watched it. It's a good movie, but it's not, the poster for it was not very interesting. So we came up, we shot Laura in the poster thing, and it just didn't look right. So I opened my book up and said, okay, there, pick out a movie. She said, well, how about Emmanuel? I could do that. And then she said, I don't have the chair. And I said, I'll get the chair. And I don't know if you're familiar with Emmanuel movies. Raise your hand if you've watched one. Okay. um, there is a series, Russ Meyer. Does anybody know Russ Meyer? Okay, yeah. It's kind of the European version of Russ Meyer. And Emmanuel, if you look down there, there's Emmanuel Arsen, I think it is. She's actually the producer and director and in the movies. And she's Emmanuel. The movie's number, I think, up to 8. And then they went to a TV series. I'm telling you more than you want to know. But she jumped into it, redid the picture, and it fit the poster, and I enjoyed it. So did she. This woman lives here in Richmond. She wanted to do, without even me asking about a movie or trying to persuade her into a movie, she said Pulp Fiction. And I'm thinking, okay. And that's the cover of Pulp Fiction, if you remember. And she wanted to be the woman in it. A lot of fun. She still approaches me and wants a photo shoot, to do something like this. Oh, we probably all know her. Everybody know Karen Davis? Yeah, okay. If you know her, she's an overachiever, and she'll get on a project and she'll do that project and don't bother her what she's doing it. And when she's finished, this is right. I've known her for years, and I've shot her as a model numerous times, more times than I can count. And when I saw the movie I don't know if anybody's ever watched it, but it's She Who Must Be Obeyed. And I thought, what a perfect picture for Karen. So there she is. Don't tell her I did that. No, she knows. This was my favorite one, setting it up. 7-Year Itch. The woman in it was Marilyn Monroe. It's when she walks over the grate, and the wind blows up and blows her dress. And 7-Year Itch. Well, I had this friend that I shot a couple of times, or she modeled for me a couple of times, let's put it that way, Shawnee. And I asked her, and she jumped right on it. So to get the picture of her required me, fans on the floor, and 2 assistants. Held her dress out. Fans were going. Fans filled her dress while they were holding it. And then on the command, they threw it up in the air and let the wind take it. And I pulled the trigger and shot the image. It only took us about 10 times, I guess, but got a pretty good likeness of Marilyn Monroe in the 7-Year Itch. So did you, the quote was, hey, do you ever try dunking a potato chip in champagne? And if you've seen the movie, you'll understand what that's about. So, okay, these were my 12 It Girls for my project. And I put them in a book. Actually, the book's up here somewhere. And, made a little like cover sheet type of thing to get them on the wall. And I printed out or got enough books made to send each one of them a copy. That's sort of what I do. And I've got a couple of extra copies that then I can put on the coffee table. People pick them up and look at them and think, oh, gee, that's kind of neat, or that's interesting, or yeah, I don't like that at all. But my purpose in my photography has come from a fellow that wrote a book on boudoir photography back before boudoir was this common word. And it was back in the early 80s. And his quote that I always like is, make every woman look like her dream. Well, to do that, you've got to open that closet. You've got to get that woman to open her closet and allow you to look in or show you part of it. And because in that closet is her dream. Same way with guys too. And we put up a facade, but back behind us is a closet full of our desires, full of what we really want to do and so forth. So it's nothing new, but I really like the way you put it together. So let me capture your dreams. If anybody has any ideas, anybody wants to be a model of mine, just let me know. Because we'll make it happen. Maybe not right now. I've still got a couple of 3 months before I'll be confident in being able to use my studio and do that. And of course, my studio is filled up with junk over this period of time. But let me know your dreams. Any questions? Nobody threw anything. Nobody ran out. So that's good. That's all.
It's focus on my mind that it's very kind of like what Kitty Wiley had done with his friends or people and putting them, painting them in poses of historical figures. And I always thought that was interesting. This is fascinating to me because I know you and just ordinary people and it's photography and it's really fascinating.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And like I say, it eliminated my boredom. It kept me thinking about the next. It kept me thinking about how was I going to do this. The one with steampunk people, I had to find the costumes. I had to find the weapons that they carried and paint them up so they looked like steampunk weapons. And I really kind of enjoyed that. It's kind of silly, but I enjoyed doing it and then finding the people and posing them and putting them together. And it would, like I said earlier, it's a project. It's something that I can work on for the year, on and off, of course. And then I have something at the end to show for it. And a certain satisfaction of being able to present it. And that's something I've done. Plus, I bore the hell out of my kids by sending them one of these books for their birthday. And I've done that and heard about it. But, anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. That was very interesting.
Oh, okay.
What is your studio set up like?
How's it set up like? It's set up like it's in the garage. And I have my house is out in the country. So I had them build a 3-car garage. Actually, it's 2 cars deep, so it's pretty large. And because my other hobby was cars, Jaguars, and I was going to work on those. Well, then as I realized that as I got older, that wasn't as much fun as it could have been. So I took half the garage and turned it into a quasi studio. So I have the backdrops I can do, and I have built a platform so a woman can step up, and that's for a reason so that they're more at eye level with me. And I don't have to bend over them, or I can completely sit down and roll around and do that. I shoot with the Canons all my life, and I still do. I try different things with lights, and I've got a whole collection of lights, way more than I need. And if anybody's looking for anything like that, come see me. But it's I enjoy it. And it's I don't use it all the time, but I use it enough that it's worthwhile to do. What I'm working on now, and I haven't shot any of the pictures, but getting prepared to it is ring lighting. Not the photo ring, but lights to each side or whatever, and giving kind of a silhouette of the body and that sort of thing. So that's going to be my next quasi project. And I've got one that I started before my body started falling apart, and it was Roaring 20 women. The idea that they'd be flappers or whatever. And I got about 3 or 4 sets into that before I could do it anymore. So I made a long answer out of a short question.
It was a good answer.
I'm good at that.
Okay, great.
All right, I'm going.
Okay, well, let's take about a 10-minute break. And if you want to come up and check out Bruce's books, and then after that, we'll come back and we'll do photo share. Is that great? Okay.
Get all that.
Thanks.
No problem.
I teach it there in the education.
Mhm.
And I'm on favors. Photo and photography.
Mhm.
How you doing, Dave?
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, we have May and June set up right now. So anything after that would be great.
We don't meet in July and August.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that maybe a good thing?
Sure, yeah, that could be great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just leave it up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, history of photography, future of photography, any particular subject matter that they're, yeah. Be good.
Yeah. But you know.
Okay, well, thank you. Is this Planet of the Apes? It is, yeah. 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 Yeah, genetics helps, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time we ever rented one of those storage spaces was when we were selling our house and we wanted to take stuff out of it to declutter it, make it more sellable. And then, so we rented for about 2 months and then, but yeah. 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 Well, my wife has a friend, she and her husband are both boarders. Well, they separated. They each have their own house and they're both full of kids. They're in the process of a divorce, but now the woman, her husband never let her have a computer or the internet or a smartphone. Well, now she has all that. And so she's constantly going online now that she can buy stuff with a credit card, which she couldn't do before. And I mean, she's constantly, her favorite is Temu out of China. She buys more crap. Yeah, it's crap. But she's a hoarder. When she first moved into they moved into a like a 2-bedroom apartment in an old folks building. And well, that's what. Well, the problem with it is that now I forget the name of it, but it was. But the problem with it is that they had all their meals there. She doesn't cook. They had and didn't like the food. And it's like, okay, so now she's moved into a house. I still don't think she cooks. But my wife went over to help her, and her kitchen was stocked full of crap, but she didn't cook. Oh, it was insane. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that more and more people are finding that their kids don't want it. Yeah, it's just, yeah. Mm. Mm. Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah, that's not, yeah. Yeah, I went to one day last week. It was, well, it was Monday, it was, we had that rainy weekend. Then I went Monday. The only reason I went is I knew that the tulips were in bloom around the fountain. But the conservatory, I always take that shot, the conservatory. Except there's a, now a barrier in front of the conservatory. Okay, I took the picture of it. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and where's that one? Oh, at the garden, okay. It's been it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. They've, they've got some supposed sculptures up around the garden right now. And I photographed them just because I was there and I get my pictures in the garden, but I'm like, I don't know what these are all about, but you know. Well, I guess I should fire up. Okay, if we can get started again, we're gonna do photo share.
Spend as much time.
Okay, I guess I'm first. I took this photograph in January in front of the VMFA. I just really liked, it was early morning and it was, I liked the shadows from the bicycle. It was a cold snow. It had snowed and there was a little pile of snow in front of the bicycle that I removed. But I just like the shadows of the bicycle on the street there. I thought that was pretty good. I took this out of the Botanic Gardens. This is a snowdrop And I had to lay on the ground for this one. They're pretty short, but I had to lay on the ground and get that shot. But I really like the snowdrops out there. This is in my yard. I have this star magnolia tree, and it blooms. It's one of the first things to bloom in my yard, and so I photographed that one. I really like the flower. It's very delicate. And this was in Powhatan State Park. There's a place I know where their wildflowers bloom. This was in March when the wildflowers first started bloom. These are bloodroot, which I didn't name them, but they're a very nice wildflower that blooms out there. And I took several others. So it was a good trip out there. And this is a ranunculus that I picked up. I think I picked this up at Wegmans. They tend to have a good selection of flowers to photograph. And so I picked that one up and did a number of photographs of that. And while I was there, I also picked up these irises, which are a really cool looking flower. And so I set that up with a greenish yellow background and got the close up of it. I like that shot. And this was at Lewis Ginter. You can't photograph the orchids out there now because the conservatory is closed. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to have any other way to show the orchids, but I guess they're going to, for now, keep them back in the greenhouse where they keep them, between blooming. So it should be springtime next year when the conservatory is back open again. We'll look to see the orchids again. And this was at the gardens as well. That same morning, the cherry trees were in bloom. So I had the cherry trees and a bit of a blue sky behind it, and just a nice spring picture. And this was daffodils that I planted last fall, and they bloomed this year. And it was just 2 flowers on one stalk. I just thought that was a pretty cool shot. So I took that about a month ago. And this is one I did. This is a 2x magnification of the business end of a hibiscus. I brought my hibiscus in this year and kept it indoors because otherwise it would have died outside. And it bloomed off and on throughout the winter. And I used a magnifying lens. So I was at a 2x magnification to get this. And I photo stacked it with about 20 shots. And I thought that one came out pretty well. And the next one is the same thing at a different angle with a black background. Again, a 2x magnification and photo stacked in order to get the detail. And this I took my grandson 2 weeks ago. We went down to the bird park in North Carolina, Sylvan Heights, and the flamingos are really cool. They're really beautiful birds, and they're very interesting to photograph. And he had a great time there. In that same area, there's parakeets that you can feed, and he had a good time feeding the parakeets. Another picture of the flamingo, just an interesting angle. And this is another bird. I forget what this one is called, but it's a very exotic looking bird. And all of these birds, they're not in cages really. A lot of them are out in the open, and people are like, well, why don't they fly away? They're all banded. I don't know why they can't fly or don't fly, or if they're just basically hired to be there and they get, paid a good rate. Is that what that is? Yeah. Where would those be native? Is that an African bird? Yeah. And this is a mandarin duck. It's a really pretty duck. So you can see they all have bands on their legs. Okay. And this, I planted some bleeding hearts in my yard. a couple years ago, and they've been blooming and they've come up. They had really good bloom this year. And I brought them in and I was taking some photographs, and I isolated the one blossom out and backlit it. And I really like that photograph. I like the way it came out. This also is from my yard this year. My dogwood tree bloomed, and I like that shot of that one as well. And this was out at Lewis Ginter, ferns opening up. Like to get the detail in the flowers there. This was also at Lewis Ginter. I was out there last week, the day after all of the rain, and there were still a lot of water drops all over the tulips. And so I thought that helped add to the photos. And this is a flower that one of my wife's friends gave her. It's an African violet, and we've had it for a couple of years, and this is the first time it's ever bloomed. And it just opened up last week, and now it's got all three of those buds are open on it. But this was last week when just the first bud had opened up on it. And this is from my yard as well. I took this photograph last week. This is lilies of the valley. I dug them up and brought them in before they were fully opened up and let them finish opening up indoors. I try to minimize how much pollen is all over them, but I still had probably 50 to 70 spot removals of individual pollen grains. So that took some time. Okay, thank you. Here you go.
These are kind of a mix of pictures from different places. Every once in a while, I'll get real artsy and do something like this. It kind of appeals to my obvious self. This is a flat rock on a beach. Look at that, it's Michigan. This is also from, if you ever get around Ludington, Michigan, the Ludington State Park, just north of the city, is absolutely beautiful. It has Lake Hamlin on one side and Lake Michigan on the other. This is the lighthouse at the Big Point Sabo. From there to Wisconsin is the narrowest part of Lake Michigan. Anyway, I had to crawl up into the tree next to this tree to get a shot through the limbs. I bought a new lens, a 600 millimeter zoom thingy, and it was the first day out with it. The thing weighs a ton, and this was in New York. There was a group of crows that had a few youngsters, and there was an awful squawk coming up from the road that goes by the camp we have up there. Anyhow, it was a bunch of crows screwing with the raven, and I walked down the road with that camera, and they kind of took off, but they started chasing the raven back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know how much that lens weighs. I really should weigh it, but it's got to be, I don't know, close to 10 pounds. And I'm trying to swing it around, take pictures of the birds in flight. And I actually managed to grab a few, but it was an overcast day, but the sky was still really light. And of course, they're jet black, so it almost looks like a silhouette. Doesn't look like a real bird, but the detail's pretty good. You can see the feathers and the claws on their feet. This was in a deer yard up there, and I like to label that, somebody's watching. It's right around the rut. And there was a feeding area there, so I think the buck had other thoughts. Fall picture again in this is up in the Adirondacks, upstate New York, and the fall colors tend to be very vivid. I don't think I tweaked this one at all. It's just the way the picture came out. That's a reflection. There's a place they call Blue Ledges. The Hudson River runs through there, and they do rafting through there. So they've got a dam upstream a ways, and they release a bubble of water. So the water level goes up, and then it comes back down again. And this is an area between a bunch of boulders that traps smaller rocks. And I just thought it was kind of interesting. The different colors of the rocks and the shapes and such. This is on Long Lake, again in the Adirondacks on the far end of the lake. I think this was a young bird. He wasn't as wary as some of the older ones, but it's a loon. And I got pretty close and got a good shot of him. That's Al. No, this down in Florida. My sister retired, moved down there, and there's a wildlife preserve just around the corner. And he explained to me that Al is not a cutesy name short for alligator. It's for I'll eat your face off because he's an alligator. So anyway, I got some good alligator shots down there. This is back up in the Adirondacks. That's the Hanging Spear Falls. The Opalescent River comes through there and drops off. It's up in the High Peaks region. That picture just about killed me. It was 18 miles round trip with my son. And we were almost crawling by the time we got back. It was all up and down and rocky. And it was, I'm getting too old for that stuff. Anyway, it's a good shot. Over to Michigan, you can sort of tell that lighthouse has been there since the late 1800s, I believe, if I remember right. But anyway, they had maybe 5 or 6 years before this picture, they had rebuilt the breakwater, and they had to reset the concrete the lighthouse was setting in. And I guess apparently nobody had a level. Because coming into town, the main drag, you can see that lighthouse from miles away. And the first time we were up there after this was done, looking at the darn thing, and it lists to the starboard. They set it crooked, so now it's the Leaning Tower of Ludington. But this is a November storm coming through. These are mergansers, a family of mergansers. Caught them going by a dock on Long Lake. That's the lake that that we have a camp on, Lake Eaton, in the fall picture. That's the Deep Creek, runs through the castle. I can't think of the name of it. It's over in Powhatan, and it's just an interesting, to me anyway, it was interesting root formation and reflection of that creek. It's not too far from the James. That is the Split Falls, if I remember right. I can't remember the stream, but that's up in the Adirondacks. And I was been playing with fuzz in the water using a neutral density filter. Sort of got the hang of it, I guess. And that's another one of those obvious artsy pictures, a leaf on the water.
Like the first one?
I went through my files, tried to come up with 12 to match the photo challenges, movie titles. This one was a fellow at the Jackson Ward Festival, and it's called It's a Wonderful Life. They're all JPEGs. I see it anyway. Now that's a JPEG, and why does it accept that one? That's Toy Story. It's my neighbor's motorcycle, and that is his toy. And that's why it's called Toy Story. Well, beats me. They're all the same.
Okay, here we go. Ling and I have a media pass or to get into the games at University of Richmond, the Robbins Center. Now, this one's been in the newsletter already, but I wanted to put it in because I've got several others of the same situation. What I'm doing, what I discovered was that I could sit in the end zone right directly next to the, you know, where they're coming in to make a touchdown. And obviously that's what they're doing there. Pretty exciting to sit there, you know, all of a sudden all these people are crashing over the line there. So can be a little bit dangerous if they accidentally hit you. Next. Here's an obvious tackle situation. I did do some work removing extraneous objects in front of that wall so these fellows would show up because I was still sitting next to the goalpost and, had a whole lot of things going on the side, people standing and other players and stuff of that nature. Okay. Now here's another touchdown. Looks like he's just breezing over, no work, but what interested me about this particular one is so much of it is so colorful. The U of R team was dressed in red that day, and so many of the fans have on red and, just brightly colored. All right, next. Now here's one that I got. I clicked it, I'd say about 1 second too late. He's already caught the pass, but he's still in the air. Okay. This I couldn't resist. This is Lee and I just got a new addition to our family, which is the Labrador Retriever, and we had 2 others that passed away, and we got this fellow as older dog because we are older and appropriate. But anyway, that's one of the neighbors coming for a play date. Okay. And here they are posing for the camera. And this one is the one I really like. He's only 4 months old, obviously running enthusiastically toward the camera. I had to bring his tongue out of the shadows. You couldn't tell what that was. It didn't have much light. That's one more. That's right. One more touchdown. This is the quarterback making a touchdown at another game, a different game. He surprised them all. Okay.
This one just with kicker, Richmond kicker. So, but when doing this piece, actually, I cropped that side, almost a half of the image out. It's just hard to do it. The shutter speed I use is about 2000, 2000, and auto ISO. This time I use that. I borrow one word. I told Tom, I borrow one word, stacking. Stacking, but the year ago, when the first time I heard stacking, Tom and I was in Lou's kindergarten. Tom said, hey, you can take that and explain to me stacking. And this time I can't think, hey, the guys are stacking together. Look at that, all the eyes towards the ball. Just, I think just last week, no, week ago. The time taking this, I think is about 7 o'clock in the evening. I figure that auto ISO maybe my best chance. I just cannot move so fast to do all the stuff. This is about 10 image. 1 second, 10 image. This one out of that. So the way I process this is, of course, you do the sports photography very fast. Very often I will just 90 minutes, I can shoot 1,000 image, but I go quick. My right hand hit the next photograph and check. Only pick up the one within 10 or within 5, depends on how I press. And the one serve my purpose. Make sure ball is there. Player's eye, I can see. The rest, if does not show, get rid of that. That's it.
Okay, this is indeed my first picture. I was downloading my images. This was my roll image. Oops. Yeah, that's the first image. There was nothing there. I was about to hit the delete. I said, let me see what happens if I take it into on one raw, which is where I do my raw. Next image. And all I did was take the exposure down. I took the exposure down and then just played with a couple of the sliders, midtones and so forth. I did some cropping, but I guess the lesson is there may be something there, even if you don't think there is. So not a great picture, but there was something there. It was a double exposure, and obviously I had the settings wrong. I thought that was interesting that I was able to retrieve it. That's the pond by my house. The light was just fantastic that day. I took that I was walking, I took it with my cell phone. Same pond, different spot, cell phone picture. That's at the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. That's the staircase outside. And I just, flipped it and messed around with the steps and made an abstract. That was a moth, obviously. When I was walking, I spotted it and it was just lying there. I almost stepped on it. Again, that's a cell phone. On my walk, I took it. That's University UR, reflections of the library in the pond. UR steps. A tree, the campus, black and white. That I just took yesterday. I was at Tuckahoe Creek and the sky was just beautiful and blue. Finally, we hadn't seen that in a while. Just a little picture landscape of Tuckahoe Creek. And that's it for me, I think. Okay. What's the white pen? Anyone? Do I hit the top one? Okay.
Kind of wrapped around the.
Oh,
So what I have today, I've got 6 movie titles and one multiple exposure landscape. So this is My Fair Lady, Easter Parade a couple years ago. City Lights, this year from the 4th Street Bridge, a week before Christmas. So we got the bonus of Christmas lights and the decorations on the buildings, plus the traffic.
That's nice.
Moonstruck, one of my favorite pictures. Nick Cage is great in that one. This is the ugly part, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's a self-portrait that's a decal in the window of a truck. I stole this idea from Mary Jack. The movie is Patch of Blue. It's not as good as her Bird's Eye, Blue Bird's Eye, but it's the best I could do. That's a street mural down in the VCU campus area. Would you believe some like it hot? A food truck a couple years ago. And this is the landscape, multiple exposure. I did an edit in Photoshop using layer masks. And I kind of stripped away most of the multiple exposure effects from the bridge and the vegetation around it. But I left the water and the sky alone, and the multiple exposure effects provided a lot of texture in the sky and the water. I like the photo because in the right side, you can see a hint of buildings on Oregon Hill. And then as you look at the center span, some old Dominion Power buildings. And then to the left side, you can make out the mausoleum at Hollywood, and even some of the monuments, if you look carefully. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Looking through it, I was checking out because sometimes I take a subject matter. This time I was trying to get pictures of titles. So the next three pictures are all Paris. They're 2017, and the movie title is called A Man and a Woman. Came out in July of 1966. It's one of our favorite movies, and this was taken in the area right, the building off to the left. If you see it up in the left-hand corner is Notre Dame before the fire, and that was a very, Paris is a city of romance and love, and this one was very much a picture of that. All three of these pictures are. So this is a couple embracing, and the thing that caught me was that, I don't know if you can see it, but on her arm, and I believe on his arm, bicep, are pigeons. And these pigeons just, if you put your arm out, the pigeons come and land on you. And so there was some humor in that. Off to the right, you see another couple, and they were having their wedding photos taken. And I'll show you that in a minute, I believe, because that couple probably had 6 attendants who holding the bride's veil, and the photographer was down on the ground. I think he was using the veil to kind of shoot through the veil. But all this was going on, and so we can move to the next one, Kim. And this one is not related to, this is also a man and a woman. This was at the top of the Arc de Triomphe. And this guy was shooting the scenery, obviously the landscape pictures down below. But you know, the thought struck me of, here he is with his girlfriend, friend or whoever, and he's taking pictures of buildings. Probably not what I would have been doing, but you know, to each his own. But anyway, it was an interesting picture. And this is the couple that I told you about. You can see in the shadow, kind of in the right-hand corner, the photographer is down there. Off to the side are one or two attendants. Long veil. And also a picture of a man and a woman. Okay. This is, we all know the Lee statue, and I titled this one American Graffiti. Okay. This one is from Colorado, Rocky Mountain National Park, and it's called Rocky. And last but not least is another picture of the Lee Monument. I went down there late one afternoon. This man was there. I asked him if I could take his picture. He said, "Are you a journalist?" I said, "No, I'm just an amateur." He said, "Okay." He had 5 guns. He had 2 assault weapons on his right side. He had another pistol right below his right knee. He had another gun around his right hip. I mean, the guy was a walking arsenal. And I said to him, "I'm just curious about why you have all your weapons." He said, "I'm here to keep peace." Well, I guess whatever turns you on, right? I couldn't believe that the police weren't a little concerned about him, but everybody seemed to be leaving alone. So I think that's it, right, Kemp?
Yeah, this is Dave Johnson.
Can you hear me?
Hold on a minute. Pick up again, Dave.
Can you hear me?
See if I can switch the speakers over to these.
Tell me when.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. Okay, so last week at the Camera Club, we had this session with this lady from California with intentional camera shake or zooming in and out. And this is a picture that I took standing on the bridge at Lewis Ginter over the Christmas holidays, where I had a zoom lens and I just focused from the bridge, and I think I zoomed out on the bridge, and that's what this picture is about. Next. So every year I try to go to DC to photograph the cherry blossoms. And as I was walking over to the tidal basin, I saw this vehicle, um, going around that area with these sightseers. We have those little what do they call those here in Richmond? The people who drive around in those little vehicles, but I hadn't seen one that looked like this, and I tried to snap the picture of the people being toured around the tidal basin. Next. Again, at the tidal basin, there was a person playing a saxophone, a jazz musician, and he was quite entertaining. And people would put money in his suitcase and so forth. You can see some of the cherry blossoms in the background at the tidal basin. Next. This is a picture of the Jefferson Monument. And I guess it's back open because last year when I was there, they were doing some reconstruction and whatnot. But this year, I understand it's back open. So this is a picture across the tidal basin, looking at the Jefferson Monument.
Next. Again, another picture, across the tidal basin, trying to capture people in the paddle boats that day. And next. This is just a picture from the bridge looking down on the tidal basin with the Washington Monument in the background, trying to capture the colors of the cherry blossom trees along the tidal basin. And as usual, it is so crowded during the cherry blossom time. This was the Friday before the Saturday when they were going to have the festival, but I was just trying to capture a sense of, all the people who were there. Sometimes hard to get a clear picture of anything with so many people wandering around the tidal basin during the cherry blossoms. Next. And this is a picture of a model I took. My pictures are probably boring compared to the presentation that Bruce just presented, but this was a picture and of a model, and she wasn't very engaging with me, but this was one of the ones that I liked, trying to get her to smile. And last, I went to the VMFA on opening night, where they have the Frida Kahlo exhibit, and it's very interesting. And this is a picture of one of the pictures of Frida Kahlo at the VMFA, and I think that's the last one.
Airplane. That's B-17 up at Hanover Airport. And this is the Sound of Music. And that's all. No, yours is one that it was formatted.
Well, it's formatted, it's a good computer. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to reformat it to work for both times, but next time I'll just email you the names.
That's all the, okay. Okay, thank everybody for coming. That we have next month, we'll be at the library in Chesterfield with the setups that Nancy and Anita are putting together. And we'll get out an email with more information about that so that you can be prepared for it. And we'll look forward to that. The June presentation will be back here again. That will be Paul talking about infrared camera conversions. And then we're looking for some more presentations beyond that. So any ideas you have, anything you would like to present, please let us know. We'll be looking forward to it. Okay. Get us more information about the next meeting. I do believe that Nancy said this morning that there would not be photo share that day, but I'll have to confirm that. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much.